A very good morning to everyone again. So first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers, Casual Connect, for giving us a chance to all be together and also to have a chance to share information with one another. So by the end of the presentation today, I would like to cover on the current trends in Asia, as well as what it takes to unlock the Asian app economy. So my name is Choy WAI CHEONG. I'm the Managing Director of the Metaps Private Limited, headquartered in Japan. I'm based in Singapore, and our mission is to help developers to succeed in the Asian markets because that's where we're very strong in. I was living in Japan for 15 years before moving to Singapore 3 years ago to start the operations over there. Okay, first of all, in terms of the market share for mobile, for smartphones, we have Android and iOS, basically as two biggest platforms. And in Asia, you could see here that Android actually surpassed iOS by 60% in the last quarter. Okay, and this has actually increased from 25% in the previous year. And major device makers such as the Samsung, LG, ZTE, Oppo, etc. contributed to this explosive growth. Okay, as you can see here, you have Korea, China, and Taiwan. And then in the whole of Asia, it's like 63% versus 11%. And the remaining comes from the feature market, which is like in parts of Southeast Asia, India, etc. So in terms of the market, we look at the revenue by countries. On, let's say, Google Play, we can see that Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, they occupy like 4 out of top 7 in the whole world in terms of revenue generating. And this brings me to the objective to talk about Asia as a market, which is probably very interesting to everybody. And for the download share, we have the BRIC countries, namely Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, India, and China. China is not in this list because this is just pulling out from the Google Play market. So when we talk about Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, so how lucrative is that? How much do they actually earn? So we look at the top grossing charts here, 1 to 10, I mean 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 20. So in Japan, just 2 years ago, in top grossing 1 to 5, top 5, it was just about a $1 million market. Today, it's already multiple folds, okay? You could reach like amazingly high during the peak season for some of the apps in the top 1 for Japan. And for top 50, you could be earning something like about $10,000 a day in Japan. And Korea and Taiwan also, there's a potential to earn like, easily about $200,000 in a month, right? And more, and 10 million if you're in the top 5 and stuff like that. In China, I've highlighted it a little bit because this is only from the Android stores. So in China, I'll talk a little bit about China after this. There are like hundreds of app stores in China, but Google Play doesn't exist over there, okay? So looking at the top 4 revenue generating in Asia, so I'm looking at Taiwan, Korea, China, and Japan. These are the 4 key countries of interest. Each market is different, as you know, and requires expertise and local knowledge of media channels and know-how about what works and what not. So for Taiwan, despite having just a very small country with just 23 million population, Taiwan is actually number 5 in terms of revenue generating for the last 6 months, okay? And according to Yahoo study, the Taiwanese people ranked number 1 in the world for the average daily smartphone use with nearly 200 minutes per day. And these factors certainly make Taiwan an attractive market for developers worldwide. So before we target into Japan, we can actually look into Taiwan first. The reason is because there are a lot of similarity that we could see between Japan and Taiwan. So for example, like RPG category ranks number 1 in both markets, and also we can see like action and casual games are also very similar in those markets. They're very strong in both markets as well. Next, another trend that we could see is Line, a messaging app which originated from Japan, is very, very strong in Taiwan. So Line actually has reported over 500 million users worldwide, 17 million which are in Taiwan, and that's like about 3/4 of the population. And in the last quarter, Line had a total of 11 apps that appeared at least once in the top 40 of the grossing rankings in Taiwan. Next, RPG, as I mentioned earlier, it's the top app category in Taiwan, which is very popular right now, strongest presence. And I'm talking a little bit about the case study of Everybody's Marble. I'm not sure if it's called this here, but it's also known as Let's Get Rich from Line. So this app launched in October last year, was the top grossing app for both charts. And then in December, it spent the entire December at #1 spot, okay, in Taiwan on Google Play. One big reason for this is Everybody's Marble's success is the strength of the Line platform in Taiwan. So in terms of gameplay, it's very similar to Monopoly. So that in Greater China region, everybody is very used to this gameplay. And that it is apparent that we could see this approach by Line Taiwan in their TV advertising for Line Everybody's Marble, which opts to focus more on the gameplay rather than using any celebrities of some sort. Next up, another example is IGG, which is a China-US based company, and they have taken an aggressive approach in terms of promoting in Taiwan. So the app actually made its debut in August, that was 2 years ago, August 2013, a year and a half, and it reached its peak at #3 top grossing, and then after that, for the last half a year and 1 year, it was fluctuating between top 20 and top 40, despite being released after 1.5 years. So next up, talking about Korea. In Korea, Kakao is the boss. Okay, it's a very strong platform. This platform boasts an extremely strong presence in the Google Play top grossing charts. However, this has weakened slightly from the previous year, all right? And it's also a sign to show that titles can become successful without being on a Kakao platform. RPG is also a very dominant category in Korea. So we talked about the Kakao platform. I'm taking 2 examples over here. One is Supercell's Clash of Clans, and the other one is King's Candy Crush Saga. So they both have success in Korea, but taking a very different path. Okay, Supercell decided to go alone with Clash of Clans, a daunting task considering the performance and the dominance of a Kakao at the time it first charted in Korea, which was October 2013. It became dominant in the market and taking over #1 spot of Google Play top grossing in Korea for the last 10 weeks. King took a different approach, and they also did quite well. They took a different approach and they went with Kakao. So they have the Candy Crush Kakao, and the app is well received and jumped to top grossing #8 alongside many Kakao titles. So for Supercell, what did they do? Their success has been supported by an aggressive marketing approach in Korea from June 2014 last year. So involving primetime TV commercials, and also heavy advertising on subway and bus stations, which are offline advertising. And that's very common for a lot of mobile apps. And it is highly unusual for overseas developer with non-Kakao platform to perform this well. So this is really an exceptional case. These are some examples of the offline and TV commercials that Clash of Clans did in Korea. Another example is from Machine Zone. So a top developer from US, Machine Zone, which made debut in May 2014. For the app Game of War Fire Age. Made it to top 20 in November 2014 last year, and also with following the additional efforts around G-Star event that involves PR and offline marketing. So these are also some of the examples that we did for them. Now China, I'd like to talk next about China, which seems like a black box to many in the West especially. First of all, in terms of internet market size, the mobile internet users in China is expected to grow and increase by 23% in 2017 to 750 million users. Next, in terms of mobile OS share, Android is taking the lead with 70% and iOS being just 19% behind it. Then we have, as I mentioned earlier, so Android app stores in China. So there's no Google Play in China, so there are like hundreds of app stores with top tier, second tier, etc. We have the likes of 360, Tencent, Baidu, etc. And they are very, very scattered, so without a proper strategy, it's really difficult to target. So that's why there's the iOS, which means a lot of jailbreak market as well in China. Next, about mobile gaming market size, in terms of the revenue is tripling in size forecasted to triple in size by 2017 to 11.5 billion US dollars. Definitely feels like a gold mine, doesn't it? In terms of mobile game release, because it's such a lucrative market in mainland China, there were like 34,000 mobile games released in mainland China during January till August 2014. And paying users, we are seeing that the paying users come mostly from RPG and card battle games. However, running apps such as like Temple Run, etc., are the most popular category in China right now. And we can see currently 9 out of 20 top grossing apps in China right now is run by Tencent platform, which also owns the messaging app called WeChat. In terms of scope of sales in mainland China, we're looking at iOS versus Android. iOS contributes about 30% to 50% of the and depending on the genre. So for hardcore games, it's like 50%, a little bit higher on 50%, while casual games, etc., make 20%. With the very tight competition right now in China, it takes a lot of effort and resources and budget to get into the top. That's why we are seeing a lot of only the larger publishers are right there at the top rankings. This is the simplified version of the China mobile game industry value chain. I'll be happy to go through it in more details. After this, if you can come to the booth, it's 416, then we can talk more in detail. Next, about Japan, the holy grail of app marketing. All right. So in Japan, we are seeing that the mobile market has already taken the PC market, okay, by far, and it's going to go further. And then in terms of the time spent on average user, we are seeing a ratio of 86 to 14. So what does that represent? It represents the time used, okay, the time the user spent on native apps versus mobile web. Next, if you're familiar with the game, the game trends and the game industry in Japan, we could see a huge change in the gaming market in Japan in late 2014. One apparent change was for the past 2 years, Puzzle and Dragon, developed by Kang Ho, has reigned supreme atop Google Play and App Store charts in Japan, okay, raising the bar for all apps trying to attain top rankings on both charts. However, in November 2014, Monster Strike, which was developed by Mixi, actually overtook Puzzle and Dragon as #1 app, okay. This level of dominance that Monster Strike and Puzzle and Dragon made even more evident by the fact that nobody else has reached #1 spot for the entire year in Google Play. Next, role-playing is definitely the top app category in Japan right now, and that is something new as well because it used to be card-playing games, and right now card-playing games are only ranked #4 as a popular category. And then we also find that the simulation type of games have a very high ARPU because in terms of the download market share, they are very low, but in terms of the revenue, they are #3. That shows they have a very high ARPU. And then this is a very interesting chart I would like to share. We are seeing a very, very strong correlation between top grossing chart and top free chart, top new free chart, okay, compared to the top free. So the reason is possible because in top new free, we have past statistics that show that the number of organic users that you get when you're on top of the top new free chart is way higher than top free chart. Because a lot of the hardcore game users and the high ARPU game users actually look at the charts to see what's new, and that's where they go. And this is evidence to the strategy that we use, which is using the first month of release to get into the top charts of top new free in Android on Google Play to maximize the number of organic users that we can get. So basically all those countries in Asia are able to conquer with the right kind of strategy and also with a good gameplay. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about what we think the future of the app economy would be. First of all, the current state of app marketing. We have, right now, it's all about which distribution channel should we go to, what kind of odds like that we need, etc. And then it goes down to like, basically, what's the bid price and all this. But what happens after that? How do we sync up the marketing division with the development and production side? So it's important to understand the correlation between strategy and the analysis, okay? So moving forward, it will get more important to understand your own app and what your users feel about the app, okay? What makes them happy and what makes them not happy, what they are satisfied with or not satisfied with. And also to understand the competitors' app, like how they're doing in the market and what are they doing in terms of the marketing, etc. as well. and then which is not just based on our intuitions or experiences. And there needs to be a PDCA cycle like this so that you can review. So it's like release, get the reviews and everything, and start to monitor it back at the back end, and then to do it again. Now the famous Pareto principle, 80-20, where 80% of the earnings of traffic come from the 20% of the best users. So it is utmost important to be able to identify who the 20% of best users are. We can generally we can classify the users into paying users, active users, and time-killing users. And then once we know who they are, we are able to target them based on their objectives. So we use statistic data from both marketplace, from App Data Bank, a company which we acquired last year, and analyzing the success and failure patterns of apps in real time by machine learning. So I give you some example of competitor analysis. Due to some confidential thing, I'm putting it as AppX analysis, so we can understand why. In the middle slide, you can see why our users are happy or unhappy with the app and how our game is performing against our competitors. Also, it's possible to list up similar competitor apps and also apps that other users are currently using. All right? Now, by consolidating all the info and data from the internet, we are also able to see what are the other apps and the users are currently using can be derived, and the target users based on producers' initial gut feeling, intuition, or experience can be different from the actual results, and that's where we can do a retargeting. Over here, I'll give you 3 examples. App A, App B, and App C. So you have App A, which is a very popular app in Japan. App B is a hardcore MMORPG game in Japan, and while it became a hit in Japan, aiming to expand globally with a high LTV. So despite the fact that both apps are very different in genres, they have a very huge overlapping user base based on actual data. And with this realization, we are able to plan for the next step on how to make it fun for the users, and also how to expand the target user base. On the other hand, App C is also becoming a hit in Japan, but if we look at the graph, the charts, this is not the case for App A and App B. So the thing is, it's important for App C to have a strategy, not to let its users drift into App A or App B. So that's a defense strategy as well. Finally, just a short introduction of Metaps. We're based, like I said, based in Japan, headquartered in Japan. We have offices in 8 different countries. And these are some of the clients we work with. And I think due to time limitations, I'll be happy to go through with questions, or please come by our booth at 416. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Are there any questions from the audience? No? Okay. There is one? Great. You're going to get a microphone. Wait 1 second. There.
What is the success rate of Western companies who've come to you and gone into the Asian market?
Okay, so success rate of companies. Okay, in terms of Western developers, so in the US, the likes of, we work with like Kabam, Zynga, we work with Machine Zone and all, the big publishers and developers. And then for Europe, we work with Social Quantum, Social Point, we work with Good Game Studios, King, Supercell in a way as well. Yeah. So, they're very successful. So recently, we are seeing more and more Western developers being successful in Asian market compared to like 2 or 3 years ago, where it was really dominated by the local market only. So as you can see, more and more titles are being successful in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and even Southeast Asia. Yes. So it used to be just like Asia seemed to be a black box in the past, but right now, with the right approach, with the right marketing strategy, and the right localization and culturalization of the game, it can be proved to be successful.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, there's another question. Wait for the microphone, please.
Hi, yeah. Could you
Yes.
talk a little bit about how you see the future of Line and Kakao, their kind of significance or relevance in the industry in the next couple
Right.
of years?
Line and Kakao, okay, where they first started off, Line started off in Japan, Kakao started off in Korea, where they started off as a messaging app, just like WhatsApp, okay, or Viber. But then they moved on to the game platform. So Kakao built a very strong game platform in Korea, where if you are part of the Kakao platform, that means you can do a lot of cross promotions within the Kakao platform with all the other games in Kakao platform. So right now, in terms of top grossing charts, more than 80% of top grossing apps are all on Kakao platform. So it's a very strong thing. But for Line, it has taken a slightly different approach in terms of the gaming platform or advertising platform, because they have this Line free coins product, which is more or less like an offer wall. So that's how they use the advertising format to get apps to the top rankings. And also they have this Line official account, which is very similar to like Facebook ads, to get apps to the top rankings and for all the eyeballs to reach out to. So in terms of the future, they both will be very dominant in their own regions. Line is not just strong in Japan, but they are also very strong in Taiwan and Thailand. Whereas there's also one more to be aware of, which is Tencent, which is WeChat. And they are also very strong right now in Greater China region and Southeast Asia. So it is a matter of time before they move on to the game platform and also to advertising space.
There's another question. I knew we would need the time for questions. Great.
Hello. About Line, WeChat, and Kakao, do you know how they acquired games at the very beginning when they were just building their platforms? I've heard that Kakao only worked with apps that were top 20 on App Store. Could you bring some more insight on this, please?
For Kakao, basically in the past, so when it was two years ago, for example, they were more strict with all the rules and everything. Right now, it's basically you don't have to be top grossing to be on Kakao. In fact, to be on top grossing, sometimes you probably need to be on Kakao. It's like a strategy to get. The only thing is, then why not everybody go into Kakao, right? But the thing is, if you go into Kakao, means there's another additional of 30% revenue share that you need to give to Kakao. That means Google Play takes 30%, so it's 7-3. And out of this 70%, you need to give an additional 30% to Kakao. So that leaves you with 49% of revenue. And some companies, if they are confident, like Supercell, they were confident to do it on their own. They went alone without having to share that revenue with Kakao, because they are confident with their marketing plan and all.
And how's WeChat and Line strategy differs from Kakao's?
Yes, so Line actually just started this Line platform for games. So it's something like the Kakao platform, but it's not as huge and as significant as Kakao yet. But Line is stronger in other products of theirs, like I mentioned just now, Line free coins, which is a product used to do ranking burst in Asia, such as Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Southeast Asia, etc. And that's where they get a lot of revenue as well from. So in terms of the gaming platform, WeChat has started it, but only in mainland China. That's why they have a Tencent platform. But outside of China, they are still looking into it. They have not built this infrastructure yet outside of China for the platform. Thank you.
Any more questions? No? I do actually have one more question. I was wondering, so let's assume I'm a Western developer. Does it make sense to not launch my game in Asia? Because many people just launch globally at some point. Is it useful to kind of just hold back, so to say? Or do you do yourself harm if you just launch it everywhere, and yeah, okay, it won't do anything, but kind of you're not new then anymore, right?
I think it's a matter of the objective or the strategy. Basically, launching everywhere without proper marketing and everything, marketing strategy, then we'll just wait and see if the game organically becomes a hit, okay? But if we want to target certain countries in Asia, then there's always the right way to do things in those countries. So basically, but obviously there needs to be a budget for that. So without proper budget, then it may be not significant, may be not meaningful enough for that. So if you have a budget, you have a game that is tailored for the Asian market, then definitely I would strongly suggest that focusing and targeting those countries in Asia would make more sense.
Okay,
All right.
great. Any more questions? I think we have time maybe for one more. No? Okay. Yeah, one more question. And then we need change to the next panelist.
Do you know how WeChat, Kakao, and Line work with their developers? The game is published under Kakao legal base, or developer publishes it and shares part of his revenue?
Yes, so you can take Kakao as the sub Google Play. So it's you publish yourself on Kakao, but you'll be in on the Kakao platform, and you are able to do a cross promotion. So you'll be exchanging traffic with other games on Kakao platform as well. But in terms of marketing budget and all, will be coming from you. It won't be coming from Kakao. So
And
Kakao.
for example, if my app with a Line badge is on the Google Play, I get the money and then share it with Line, or Lines get the money and then shares part of its revenue with me. How that works?
It's like Google Play. So basically, you get the money, but you need to share that revenue with Line or Kakao in this case.
So I'm
Okay.
getting the money first and then sharing with. Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, thank you
Thank you so
very,
much.
very much, Choy.
Thank you.
If you have more questions, they have a booth, as Choy mentioned. So also feel free to pass by and discuss with Choy there.